Thank you, Laura. Thank you. But I just wanted to let you know that yesterday I was participating in the 5-hour workshop on the academic review team, and today, this morning too. And this is afternoon, and it's a Friday afternoon, so this is my fun time. Yeah? And I'm here because I really want to do this, and this is so exciting. This is something that Laura and I had talked about for a long time, and then there's a whole team that has supported me. So sometimes we forget to thank the people who help. So before I forget that, or it gets missed to me, and I want to thank this super cool team at the back, and I will tell you who they are. And the reason is we do have a little case study for you, which is a skit. And we thought we'll do it with a theater group, but there was no time to coordinate. So all who were in my office yesterday became the acting team here. Sarah Stanley, she's a faculty member at in the English department. She's also the lead for faculty development at UAF. And Sarah Stanley is the one who actually wrote the script here. So thank you, Sarah. You can just stand up so that you're visible also. Sarah Stanley over there. Rebecca over there is at my office at the Provost. If you come, you cannot get to me till you pass through Rebecca. So we take some time to Rebecca. Miriam is the brain behind Sarah's writing script, because she said, no, this is not how it happens. This is how it happens. So Miriam is also with the faculty governance and faculty senate. She provides all the support over there. Marsha over here with the Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs, and before this she was with Alaska Center for Energy and Power. And Renee was voluntold yesterday that she is in the stage. Renee is our English department, so thank you. And then Faye over here and Laura have been asking constantly, do you need help? What you want? And we'll figure it out, and it just got figured out. So thank you for the constant support. Thank you so much. So a couple of things is that this is about mentoring workshop. And when I was reading what you wanted, I was reading your responses to that to just tailor this workshop to your needs. I was like, we need more tools on what tools do we have? What things should we do? You go to the web, you will find some tools. It's not a matter of having the tools just sometimes, or yes, you need to know what the tools are. Yes, you need to know what the resources are. But I do want to take this discussion today to a different level on some of the key concepts of mentoring. Rather than saying, have a checklist, talk to your student once a week at least. We can make those to-do lists, which also I have, by the way, if you want to adapt to that. But there are more basic concepts, and that's what I want to cover here. And really, somebody said, just send your key messages up front, because in the first 5 minutes, people are listening more. There are 3 concepts I want to talk about with all of you. One is about, and these are 3 keywords. If you want to write, if you are one of those who likes to write, it's okay. If you don't, that's also okay. And if you don't want to write, I have them printed. One is about the importance of mentoring networks. Not only just a mentor, but a mentoring network. That is one key message that I want to talk about. The other I want to talk about is about communication and advocacy. And the third one that is very dear to me is also a concept that is called managing up and managing down. Now again, we'll talk about what these mean. And you want to give out the secret? That's fine. So just give me one for myself. All right, thank you. And so these are the 3 concepts that we'll talk about. And also as we do the case studies, I want you to think about these concepts and apply them to the different case studies we will be doing. So again, those 3 concepts are how to build a mentoring network and the importance of network in mentoring, about advocacy and communication, and the third one is about managing up and down. So don't worry about this. Don't look at this at this moment. Don't worry. Just a question. Why do you want to mentor someone? I mean, does anyone want to mentor? If you want to mentor, why do you want to mentor someone? All right, Sina?
So I want to mentor someone because I didn't have a mentor when I first got here, and I was told, go find a structured mentor in a brand new environment. So I want to mentor because I want to be that person who steps forward and greets new people, faculty, and graduate students, because it takes on that now.
Excellent, thank you. See, now it brings it's driving from your own personal experience and where you felt the need and you now want to give back in the same capacity. So thank you so much. Anyone else? Yes, Franz?
It's rewarding.
It is rewarding. It is rewarding. Is it personally rewarding to you? Is it professionally rewarding to you? Both personally and professionally. Very good. Why does somebody else can tell me what is so rewarding about that? About mentoring? Maybe it's not mentoring, it's not feeling rewarding to you. That's also possible. That's also okay. But why? Why is it rewarding?
It's about watching somebody be successful, and that you're part of the equation, supporting and getting access to understanding and to watch them thrive.
Yeah, there is some thrill about it. It's a joy. There's some inherent joy in seeing somebody be successful.
And you're part of the process.
Yeah, and you're part of the process and that you played your role in that. That's great. That's why you mentor. Why do you want to be mentored? If you want to be mentored. We should all want to be mentored. That's like we all need mentoring. We all should absolutely want to be mentored. I want to be mentored all the time.
I would
Shadi?
like to be mentored. Hello. Hi.
Yeah.
I would like to be mentored so that I'm not reinventing the wheel. Like, I learned from someone else's mistake.
Yeah, I learned from somebody else's mistakes. Somebody's there, all right. That's a great reason to be wanting to be mentored. I can tell you many, many reasons that I have, and I know everyone has. I can also put you on the spot and say, why do you want to be mentored? Why are you taking this workshop if you don't want to be mentored? Or if you don't want to mentor anybody? Why are you choosing your Friday afternoon over here? You've got so many things to do. We've got good weather outside. Good starting weather, you know? So you're not here just for the food or because you're escaping the weather. There is inherently something that you want. That's why you are here, choosing your time. What is that?
I want to get better at it.
You want to get better at it. Better at mentoring or being mentored?
At mentoring.
At mentoring. You want to become better at mentoring. Why do you want to be mentored? Is another question you want to ask. I'll tell you my reason. I'm ambitious. I want to be successful. I want a career ladder. I want somebody to advocate for me. I don't know how to go about it. I mean, you don't even get an opportunity if somebody doesn't put a plug in for you. There are hundreds of reasons why you want to be mentored. I struggle. I've got a family at home. I got 2 children at home. They just do whatever they want to. And when they do whatever they want to, I get so stressed over there that I can't do my job here. Right? And so I want to know how other people manage that. I get heat in my job. I get to hear things. And I want to know, am I alone in this? I want to know. I want to know whether I'm doing the right thing. I want to know if I'm doing it well. Is there another way I should be addressing something? I want to learn. I want to grow. Many, many reasons. But there are many more reasons. What ticks in your mind? Why do you want to be mentored? I think what I want to do is I want to give it a pause here, and I want you to turn to somebody sitting next to you and tell them why you want to be mentored. Just 1 minute. Turn around to somebody sitting next to you and tell them why you want to be mentored.
You in trouble, my God.
Actually, quite scary. That's definitely
All right. 60 seconds was the idea. All right. At least from this table, can anyone tell me why somebody who you were talking to wants to be mentored?
Basically, we came up with a couple of things. The first one is to just know that other people have experienced what we're experiencing right now.
Right, that you are not alone.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
What is that reaffirmation
yeah,
from peers?
Yes.
It's very important.
it is, yeah.
It is. It's very, very important. From this table.
Shelley actually had a good one, I thought. But learning how to ask the right questions. Right?
Yeah, learning how to ask the right question. If you have questions and you keep them in your mind, people won't come and just help you by assuming what you need. You have to ask the right questions. You have to put your needs out there. And so that's an important part, and you learn that through the process this stage. You get like 33% chance to speak. That's great.
We're
Yes, Eric.
saying, trying to figure out what you don't know so that you can try to prevent the mistakes that you would make by learning about it.
Yeah, life's complicated. You don't want to make more mistakes than you need to make mistakes.
Yeah.
So that's
Make
good.
it up.
Like if you can avoid, whatever you can avoid, wait. Thank you. And if you do make a mistake, how to overcome it. We all make mistakes. But if you make a mistake, how do you rectify that? How do you move forward? How do you not get stuck in that? That's again in the mentoring process. This table?
Not waste time.
Not to waste time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do so much better with our time. Oh, wasting time is just, we do that, there's sometimes we just have to waste time because structure asks you to waste time. But there are times where we want to optimize all that. And so that's another part. Those are great responses. On your sheet, I love this one from Daniel Sadoway, which says, in a battery, I strive to maximize electric potential. When mentoring, I strive to maximize human potential. It's very nice. There are many quotes that we get, but I thought this was fantastic. So, yeah, those are great things. I want to get to the three concepts. We talked about mentors. When we look at mentors, regardless of what position you hold now, regardless of whether you're an undergraduate student, graduate student, postdoc, junior faculty, senior faculty, administrator in this university, elsewhere outside, you always are mentoring somebody, even when you don't know. And sometimes you don't even know, and you're serving as a mentor for somebody or a role model for somebody. People are observing you. They might gain energy from you, draw energy from you. Sometimes we don't even know that. Our words and actions, they have an impact. So there's somebody you are mentoring all the time. And all the time, or sometimes, you are actually being mentored. So at every stage, there is something that when we talk about mentors, we are assigned mentors. At the university, we say, oh, we have a mentoring program. We're going to assign you a mentor. And then typically what you look at that mentor is, I'm here. My mentor is somebody up in the ladder, in the structural ladder. And this person is mentoring me. And that's how you think about it. So if you're a postdoc, you say, well, I've got these 3 new graduate students in my lab. I'm a mentor for these graduate students. I'm being mentored by my principal investigator, the faculty member. That's how you look at it. So you've got a mentor up, and you're mentoring somebody who is in that hierarchy below you. That's how we look at the mentoring, typically in a structural situation. And you look at it as a ladder. You've got somebody up, you've got somebody down. And so that's how we look at it. But what happens is that in that manner, when we are living our life, we just don't live it in that structural framework. Our life doesn't stop at this university. Our life expands, our needs expand. There are different types of needs. One mentor can provide you, maybe your mentor up there is really good and says, do this, do this, do this, you'll get your promotion and tenure. Just all you have to do is check those boxes, right? That's the advice you're getting. That's great advice in some ways. There's nothing wrong with that advice. But that's just one advice. Right? You need other kinds of advice, how to navigate things. That's why we say there is, often people have different perspectives. One advisor, one mentor will only have one perspective. What if that perspective is not a perspective that matches with yours, or skewing your perspectives, or is not sometimes even the best advice? Then you're stuck. Right? So what you want to do is to capitalize on a network of mentors. So always in your career, regardless of which stage you are, seek out more than one mentor. Some mentors will tell you how to be successful in careers. Some mentors will tell you how to keep your work-life balance. Some mentors will be just friends and give you company and just help you navigate the complex structure or system. Mentors provide different aspects. And so having a network of mentors is really important. But the question is, I've been assigned one mentor, how do I get a network? Huts. Another 1-minute discussion with your neighbors around your table, because I think it's bringing out a lot of ideas on how to find mentors. 60 seconds, go.
I just grabbed my hours of
Yes.
And I feel like when
Yeah, I think I've listened.
Well,
we share that, like, it's like a good night. Yeah, and then that, because it's valuable. I'll know there was a and then it's like, yeah, we're working on the project, so like right now, I feel super, and then we do lawyer too. Literally, I was going to go with that. I didn't, but just in general, like,
All right, folks, let's collate some ideas. Yeah. Any good ideas on how to find a mentor? Ms. Davis, did you come across any ways of finding a mentor?
kind of agreed that they sort of present themselves sometimes, people that you
So-
connect with.
Mentors presenting themselves happens if you're very, very lucky. And you can't wait to be lucky. That's one advice I would give you. You make sure you're lucky. How would you make sure you're lucky? Is by making a deliberate effort to go and ask somebody to be your mentor. So I would say switch this and just not wait for somebody cool to just show up somehow and assume that they will take a mentoring role or wait for it to simmer by itself. Life's moving too fast. Even when we're trying to slow it down, it moves fast. You need your help now. Get your help network now. Deliberately make an effort and say, you know what? I'm trying to think of names of people who are mentoring me. I can think of 1.5 names just now in this room. Think about who mentors you. Probably you will find 1, 2, 3. If you can get a list of 7, then it's good. There are 7 people who mentor you in different ways. That's great. But if you can only come up with 1.5, 2 names, 2.5 names, after this workshop, you need to go back and think and say, who can I approach? And actively ask them, will you serve as my mentor? Don't hesitate. They can say no. They'll say, I don't have time. He says, I'm not asking your time. I'm not asking too much time. Once in a while, when I need guidance, will you help? Ask for that. You have to actively engage and building your network. Don't wait for somebody to assign, and don't wait for them to be in their workload for you to help. Because even if I put it on somebody's workload and say, thou shalt mentor this person, it does not matter, it does not mean that would happen very well. So those informal powers of networks is really, really strong. Yes, Anne?
I think that a lot of us have this sort of this perception that a mentor has to be all the things that you need. And I think sometimes it gets reinforced when like universities assign mentors to people because it's a relationship and it's not always going to work very well.
Right.
So I really like your idea of having a mentor network because you're sort of recognizing in different individuals different things that you get from them, and so you're sort of building that support
Right.
around yourself.
And
I think that that's what we were trying to say though, is that the people that you relate to emerge, and that it's not necessarily that you're waiting for people to show up, but a certain level of comfort that you find
Right.
facilitates communication a
Right.
lot easier than someone you might just be assigned to, and I think that was the more
Yeah,
so
no,
the point.
that's a great clarification, so thank you.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. And I do think that I see the limitations that you're pointing about when you have an assigned mentor. But when you are absolutely brand new and don't know where to start from, that's often what happens when you're coming into a different environment, that not even having one person to start with makes it really hard. Where do you even start?
I actually think that if you get assigned the wrong mentor who's not mentoring you, then it can limit you because you feel like you're supposed to be getting the advice and the mentorship from that person, and so it may take you longer to reach out.
Yeah.
and
No,
find
that's a
out.
great point. So we do have an example over here that I would love to show you about a mentor, and then you can comment on that mentoring style. So maybe, yes, Laura.
I just had a question, Anupma. I think about, now at the career stage that I'm in, when I think about mentorship, I'm thinking of, mentors for me as a faculty member, but it occurs to me that there might be best practices for encouraging graduate students to seek out mentoring networks as well. And what do you think is different about trying to support your graduate student in developing a mentoring network versus thinking about your own network? Is
Right.
there a difference there?
So there are some things that are common and there are some things that are different. So the group that you are reaching out in your mentoring network is distinctly different when you are in the state of career where you are and in the state of career where a graduate student is. Doesn't mean that the graduate student can't go up to the president of the university and say, will you mentor me? But it's not the same. That's where are you getting your benefits in the whole process is where you have to take. So for example, I'll just give you my story because theoretically you can read everything, but in my position where I'm at the provost level, yes, you do have provosts at the other universities of Alaska here, and so you have in Alaska, University of Alaska, Southeast and Anchorage, you have provosts, I talk to them all the time. We gain a lot from those conversations, but sometimes we are also competitors in that same space, right? So if I want neutral advice, I actually have a set of mentors that I brainstormed with. I went to a conference. It was a leadership conference. I met a group of 6 people. We were sitting on the same table. It was 3 years ago, and for months we won't talk. But if I have an issue, I just sometimes want to voice it to them, and they serve as my sounding board, and they give me advice. They have nothing in stake over here. What's happening at the university? They have nothing to gain or lose from it. They're just listening from it from the perspective of providing a neutral advice over there. And I consider them my mentoring network. And there is this bond and understanding that it's going to remain with them. There's this confidence that we have built up. And whenever we get an opportunity, we hang out together. If we're going to conferences, meeting at other places, we make deliberate efforts to go. But it's a network that I can call on and ask, what do you think I should do? And it doesn't mean that their advice is what I'm actually finally taking, but it gives me a platform to voice some things and help it sort out. And it helps me. Finally, what it matters is that mentoring helps you. If it's making you feel worse about yourself, That's the wrong mentor. It's also important to recognize that if that's what your mentor is making you feel, it's time to recognize, be self-aware of what that mentorship is bringing to you. And if it's not bringing in positive energy, and if it's not helping you, then that's not the right thing. And you will know that. You'll know that instantly because you know how you feel about it. Don't underestimate your feeling about it. You'll get advice. What you need to do is actually written down in documents and policies. That's not what you're going after. You're going after other things which are deeper than that. So I think that's important to recognize. Then Laura, to just answer your questions, for graduate students, for example, there are certain things that are much more laid out. Now for postdocs, for example, for those postdocs who are in EPSCoR and those faculty who are in EPSCoR, let me pull this out. When this proposal was put together, this proposal Fire and Ice, there was a lot of discussion about what would be a good mentoring plan. The National Science Foundation requires it. And when we put it through, it's not just a piece of paper, we put it through with thoughts. Now, be familiar with what you have promised. Be familiar with the good practices. Read it. If you're a postdoc, tell your mentor, that's what your plan says. Hey, shouldn't we be talking about this? And if you were an advisor, say, hey, we promised this. Let's get this going. Now, you may deviate from it. It's not like a legal law that you have to follow just that, but it does provide you guidance, and it is a guideline. And make sure there are parts over there on how you can use the individual development tool, IDP, to actually, and that's a freely accessible tool on the web where you can make a development portfolio on how you want to navigate your career, and you can work that with your advisor. Now again, there's a lot. That's a dense one page. In the NSF proposal, we fit in everything we can in that one page. So don't worry about reading it through right now. All right, this is for your leisure reading at length later. But it is important to know what tools there are and how you can do that. The other thing I want to tell you, talk about, I want to move to the next concept because I do want to get down to some case studies, is once you have your mentoring network and you have your mentors and mentees, that relationship needs investment. It needs your investment for it to happen. You've got a mentor, whether it's assigned or self-selected or somebody who has come to you. However, once you've got a mentor, you've got to build a relationship over there. You actually, in some ways, have to manage your mentor. Your mentor may have really good ideas, but a very completely different style. And the mentor may not even know that that style is not working for you. They're good advice, it's just not working for you the same way, and it upsets you. Then just there are ways you can say, if you have that relationship, say, let's sit down. I would love for you to tell me how to navigate this process, but really I'm not very keen on understanding how this thing works or how I should manage my personal life, because that really is my business. If that's what you feel, you can say, I don't want advice on that. Then the mentor also knows that there's not stepping their boundaries. This is what the mentor needs to be helped. The mentor needs to know what you want out of the mentor. And if you don't tell that explicitly, and then you sit down and then you say, that's not really the way I want this to work, it's not only the mentor who's at a disadvantage. You put yourself at a disadvantage, and the mentor is also at a disadvantage, because even with good intentions, they can't do their best. So to get the best out of a relationship, you have to invest in that. And so that's what we call managing up, is managing the mentor, is let your expectations know. I am a very structured person. I don't mean I mean if you are a structured person, right? If you're a structured person and you like notes, you like bullet points, you like timelines, you work with a schedule, you can say, it doesn't work for me to meet like this. I am a person who needs to meet once a month. So please put me on your calendar. If it has to be cancelled, we'll cancel it, but please put me on your calendar. If that works for you, let the mentor know, and the mentor will also adapt. Give them that space, give them that flexibility. I think that's an important one. And the same thing, and then hold your side of the bargain too. When you're mentoring somebody, make sure that you build up those communication channels. Often your mentors are the first ones who want to know things from you. They don't want to hear it from somebody else. It makes them feel special. You came up and you told them. Make them feel special that way. You don't have to schmooze. There's a difference between being communicative, being informing, and getting the message that would impact you, your project, or anything else ahead of time, and being that part of that team. That's different from actually. So there are those things where what I'm saying is manage up, and then same way manage down. So if your mentee is just wanting to come every time to you, and that's also bothering you too much, like every time there's an issue, your mentee is, your graduate student is running up to you, what do I do, what do I do? At some point you have to put that boundary also, and you say you can't just walk in every time. If that's not working for you, you've got to be honest about that too. But have that real communication in a friendly way, and in a non-threatening, in an environment where it's not power dynamics coming to play. So build that relationship and manage up and manage down. That's the second point. The third thing where I want to, and then I'll stop because I've been speaking a lot. The third thing I want to say is communication is really important. Not only just talking about what you need and what you want to get out of this, but also being an advocate. Speak well of your mentee, whether the mentee is there or not. Do not go and say bad things about your postdoc or your student or your junior faculty behind their back if you're their mentor. That is not helpful. That doesn't help whom you are mentoring, and that doesn't help you either. That is very important. How you speak about somebody is very important. And so that communication is, so that's really important in the communication. And the other thing is, be their champion. Be their advocate. Speak well. Just, that's the way you can help your mentee. You know, when you're giving them references, when you're providing them resources, when you're talking to others, say how good they are, how good or what they're doing. That's, be their advocate. And expect your mentor to be your advocate. Ask them. If you're asking for a reference letter from your mentor, say, would you be willing to serve as my, will you be able to give me, will you be willing to give me a reference letter? But don't just ask that. Yes, I can give you a reference letter, but I can give you a bad reference letter. That's not going to help you, right? So ask them, I am applying for this job. Will you be able to give me a strong reference letter? Ask the right question, as Shelley said. Don't say, can you give me a reference letter? Ask them, can you give me a strong reference letter? Because if not, it's okay. Tell me, and I will not ask you for a reference. I'll ask somebody else, and that's okay. But be clear about that communication. And the same way, if you can't give somebody a strong reference letter, then let them know honestly, saying that you're asking me for a reference letter, but I want to be honest with you. I can only talk about this aspect. I can't talk, you're a very good person because I don't think you're a good person. Say, supposing that's the thing. You don't say it just like that, but however you want to say it, be honest and build that trust. I'd rather take that answer than be hit on my back. And that advocacy and that communication is really important. Also be an advocate for yourself. Let your mentor know what good things you are doing so that the mentor can highlight those. Those are important things. Communications in all respects and advocacy, both for your mentor and for yourself is really important. So again, just summarizing these 3 key points. Don't just go for one mentor, go for mentoring networks. Rely on mentoring networks. Different mentors will give you different things in life. You get different things from mentors. As you are working with your mentors, think about managing that relationship. That's important. And then invest in that communication and advocacy. Just 3 points. So we're going to take a little pause here. And the plan over here is that we have 2 different kind of case studies that we will do over here. One is focused on if you are an advisor and you're mentoring a graduate student. That's one thing that we do. And the second one is that if you're senior faculty and you're mentoring your junior faculty, that's another kind of case study. But before we do that, just take 2 minutes and just talk on your teams and reflect on some of the key messages. Go through this 3-pronged approach presentation that we've given you, just the key messages, and see what it says and what your thoughts are. Anything else that comes out, please discuss that at your tables.